And I've got a little spring practice for us. I hope you guys have been taking the time to pause and really look at what's happening. I can kind of judge or evaluate how things are going in my life at various times, throughout my life, as to whether all of a sudden there are open daffodils, and I'm like, oh wow, where did those come from? Or I actually notice, the little closed, well, first the greenery and then the little closed head. And so I was just noticing, in fact, with the peonies the other day, that just the beginnings of the little magenta, little whispers of peonies starting to make their way up. What's that?
They're going to be early.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I know every year has been so different with peonies, how early or late and when they bloom. And I feel like that's actually part of their magic, because they, I guess really most plants are that way. And every year you're kind of like, when will it be? I don't know. But anyway, I think that is one thing perhaps to kind of meditate on in spring is, are you taking moments? Again, it doesn't have to be a lot of time. I know my schedule's been really full tilt, and a lot of people I'm talking to seem to be that way. So it's not about like just lounging around for hours with, looking at the ground. It's finding moments where you choose to pause whatever you were thinking about, wherever you were going, and just look or just smell or just listen and be present. And I feel like the plants are a good kind of reflection back to us of whether we're doing that with some regularity. And again, if all of a sudden you're noticing full-size plants in bloom and you hadn't noticed the beginning part of the process, then it may be that you're not hitting pause often enough. All right. I do want to share, because it's just so exciting to me, and it's been calling me out of my doer self. We have 2 trumpeter swans that are on our pond, and they've been there for about 4 or 5 days, which makes me hopeful. And my bird friends say they might be really considering nesting there, which I think would be just an incredible process to be able to witness and try and notice the evolution. I was reading about the number of weeks it takes them to build a nest. By the way, 11-foot wide nest on the ground, in the marshlands and stuff, but like 7 feet high, apparently. So I will have to be able to see it from my house, I would think. Anyway, it's just fascinating, and it's been really a great divergence from the other things on my head. So beauty, beauty, beauty. It's so powerful. Anybody here with anything I should know about? Anything particular in your body that you're having some challenge with, that your awareness, you need to protect? Because that helps me be aware as I'm guiding our practice, so I can speak to alternate things and stuff. Okay, excellent. Well, we're gonna start off on our back body, and I say it like we only have one body. Back body is your body. And as you're ready, just settle in. And my first request is to just invite you to kind of wiggle around. Just take those arms out, point, flex. Maybe you're gonna wiggle the legs, the head, rolling. Maybe you cultivate a full, big old yawn. We're going to do a few intentional breaths. On your next inhale, please reach your arms overhead towards the wall behind you. Flex your feet so as you're really activating all the muscles of the body. Big inhale, is there more? Exhale, get soft. And you can have your arms go wherever you want at that point. And let's do that again. Inhale, reach, 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 push, push, push. Exhale, get soft. And then please guide the knees into your belly into what we call seed pose. So seed pose, the full pose, we end up making a sit-up. But before we get there, I want to invite you to just notice what it's like to get your thighs as close as you can to your abdomen. And then meet that presence of the thighs with your belly. Really inhale, expand the abdomen into the thighs. Get your ujjayi throat contraction going. It's a beautiful way to Sweep all the detritus of winter off the surface of the pond. That's often how I picture the surface of my mind. On your next exhale, creating compression, that beautiful anchoring down if you weren't already doing it, belly to spine, spine to floor. And if it feels appropriate in your body, let that come into a sit-up, like you're trying to kiss your knees. Inhaling and release. Is there more? Exhale, belly to spine, spine to floor. Really hug those knees tightly, creating the sit-up or no. So again, you can just keep the head on the floor, maybe even roll the head side to side if you sense that our activity is building neck tension. It's really important because the quality of experience in our neck and upper back really impact our mind and our emotions, right? They tell us either I am safe, I'm well, I'm whole, or hey, I gotta be on guard, life is hard, that kind of thing. Beautiful. Let's do one more like that. The next time you're inhaling, please plant your feet for bridge pose, anchor your upper arms, and rise. I know we usually come up on the exhale. We're doing it the opposite today. Big inhale. Exhale slowly down, one rib at a time, and then hug the knees tightly. Inhaling, plant the feet and rise. Is there more? Exhaling, one rib at a time. This really helps develop strength in the back body, a nice counteraction to all the sitting we do, knees to belly until there's zero breath left in there. Let's do that one more time. And you might have your eyes turned up and in, third eye, or open in a drishti gaze on the ceiling. Light connection, tip of the tongue, roof of the mouth. Keeping those knees here, rolling side to side, knees to belly. This can provide some nice kind of massage into the kidneys and those big erectors to either side of the spine. Okay, so we're going to take it into our reclined pigeon. So I'm going to plant the left foot across the right knee, hug the right knee tightly towards the right chest with left foot in the air if that's comfortable. If that's painful or you just can't enjoy the stretch, keep that foot anchored. Sometimes I let that raised foot just kind of drop so it's hanging by my butt. Sometimes that feels better. Send it towards the center line. And of course, when we're doing this, we're using a lot of hand-arm strength, right? Watch that that doesn't go up into the neck. Keep the shoulder heads anchored. Think about the no wings, no shrugs principle. And as you're ready, slowly unwinding. It might involve giving that leg that was crossed kind of a kick, a flex, and then we'll cross the left ankle onto right thigh. No wings, no shrugs, hug that left knee. So I'm noticing that, getting out and doing a little of this and a little of that I don't usually do can create some good sore muscles, which then feel really tight the next day. But often just doing these stretches can help unwind stuff from, if you're cleaning up your garden beds or whatever. Let's send that knee a little towards the center line. Is this side different? And in your own time, slowly release. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together in butterfly, letting the knees settle. And, you can have your hands on your belly, or I often enjoy letting them rotate palms open in kind of a relaxed jet airplane. I love the broadening through the chest. You can even tuck the wingtips and the shoulder blades in a little, tilt the chin up and back until you feel no neck pull at all. And then let's turn it into our strengthening pose, belly to spine, spine to floor. and lift the hips about an inch. This pose should feel sustainable for at least a few minutes. We're going to do it just for a minute. But if that time you start to feel again a little, hamstring cramp or something funky, come on out. You can always come back in. I think one of the themes of spring is, how we have these really nice weather days and the sun feels hot and we're like, oh my gosh, activity, spring. And then we have those cool down days with the rain. And it's a great reminder to let things have their pace. Excuse me, to not push, to not try and force the wave. There's a lot of language in Buddhism and really other kind of healthy way of life philosophies around that. We have all of our plans and ideas, and nature is wonderful at reminding us that we're not really in charge of everything. And our best we can do is learn to listen and to respond in the moment, to say what's appropriate. So as you're ready, come slowly out, and you might just stretch those legs out, maybe a little wider than typical. And I'm going to invite you to kind of lift your knees and set them, kind of whacking them against the floor, lifting and whacking. Yeah, this is really nice for lymph, getting the lymph in the lower leg moving, especially if you haven't been very active. And we're just going to keep this going a little longer. We did a thing last week where we did a little kidney kind of wake up, and these kinds of repetitive movements, very popular in Tai Chi and Qigong and so on, they can often leave you with a little bit of a buzz, kind of fun in the body parts. So as you're ready, just let those legs settle and notice. Please join me in a few sighing breaths. Inhaling slow, deep and wide. What are you noticing? What's in you today? What has your energy been like? One of the powerful things we have at our we have access to in our toolbox as human beings, we have the ability to pause and to witness, to inquire within. So hopefully now that your body and your being are just a little more present here at the mat that we walked in today, just do a little scan, basically a little inventory. What is it like to be you? What have your movements been like? Are you moving in a way that feels at a pace that's healthy? Has it felt kind of rushed, the kind of thing that makes you shrug? Have you felt low energy, lethargic? So one of the locations that kind of our ideas and our feelings land is right here at that center body, right at the stomach, right? So we're going to do a few rounds of stomach pumping. And I invite you to play with your pulse, the intensity and the pace of it, but being just very intentional that if there's any energy, mindset, etc., that you've been abiding in that doesn't feel right for you right now, to picture that getting kind of fluffed up and released, sort of like fluffing up a pillow, right? So nice long inhale, slow, deep and wide. Exhale, empty. Hold out and begin. Draw your belly in like you're saying, see how skinny I am. Then push to the sky. And then draw in and push to the sky. Until you need to breathe, and perhaps a sighing breath feels appropriate. And let's do that again a couple more times. I find a slow, firm movement feels most useful to me, but maybe you want to play with a kind of fast flutter. Just make sure there's no breath inside. And when that last one does feel complete, you might feel you want to bring knees to belly, whatever, just notice. And then we're going to move some attention up into the neck and jaw area because, often I find that we've got that, the feelings and thoughts, they kind of start in that center body, and then often they'll rise up. And if we're frustrated or we're compressed in some way, it can really show up in the throat and the neck and then the jaw. So we're going to do a little lion stretching. I know you knew that was coming. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead. Exhaling, you can kind of bring your elbows in by your ribs and make claws and open that jaw really wide. Is there more? Is there more? Nice work. We're going to bring the feet up under us again for bridge pose with our foot hover. A lot of us like to anchor the upper arms on the floor. Sometimes people use the whole arm, whatever you like. Just don't add yoga mudra. All right. Once you're ready, raise your hips up off the floor, and then we're simply doing a foot hover. Right? One foot coming off the floor, just maybe an inch. If your feet are too far apart, it'll be unnecessarily hard and your neck tighten. So find a place, please, that is a good challenge, but where you can remain soft through the neck, inviting relaxation through all the parts of the body that don't need to be working. Tongue, eyes, maybe even smile a little because you're like, yeah, I'm strong. If you're feeling a lot of stability in this pose, that is fantastic. And as that feels complete, come slowly on down and we'll come into our happy baby. So knees coming towards us but wide. You might clasp the big toe, the blades of the feet, the ankles, or put a strap across. And I ask you again, make sure you're doing no wings, no shoulders. You've got the elbows coming in, shoulders anchoring down. See how that feels. Good. Draw those knees down and then send a big, big breath into the belly. I'm reminded that long before we see the beginnings of little plants coming up, they have done a lot of energy gathering, right? A lot of life force gathering. So we're going to do a little bit of pranayama to bring us into some of that same kind of moving out the stagnant and bringing in the energizing. When you feel complete with your happy baby, you're going to bring those feet into butterfly, maybe with a sit-up, maybe without, up to you. You can add a little windshield wiper. And then we're going to spinal rock, or however you want to get there. And we're going to come onto our feet. So this is a good time to take off socks, if you've still got socks on. See if you can come right on up to your feet. Inhale, nice, big, sweep. Exhaling, prayer hands. All right, we're going to take our arms out. I'm actually take my feet up too, so I'm a little bit more of like an athletic stance. I'm not in true mountain pose. You can even have your knees bent a little. Definitely don't have them locked. Feel strong like you're pushing the earth away. And if having your arms higher than straight out bothers the neck, then be here, okay? Otherwise, if you can come up into a bit of a V, and we're going to just fold the fingers in, and the thumb is up like so. All right, little bellows breath. So when you think about that thing you used to, get the flames in a fireplace, and it's very old fashioned. I don't know if people do that anymore. We're a little bit of a bellows. And each time you exhale, your belly should go to your spine as you're ready. Big inhale, belly expands, and begin. Continuing, find a focus for your vision, perhaps on the floor or the wall straight in front, or eyes closed if you prefer. One of my greatest challenges as I do this is to not tighten the neck or the tongue. That's the other one that I end up wanting to squish for some reason, jaw. So a few more, see if you can remain soft in those areas. Shoulders sliding down. And then a long inhale, continue up until the hands touch if you can. Exhaling, fold, ragdoll. Let that head hang. Send your hips a little left, a little right. If this is too much on your back, remember supporting elbows on thighs can be lovely. On your inhale, sit to your chair pose. Check your pelvic alignment. See if you can think about kind of letting the tailbone be heavy and draw down. That should bring you into that low robot belly. And again, I never take my arms so high that I feel it gathers tension in the neck. Inhaling, root and rise. Push the ceiling away. Maybe look up if it feels good. Exhaling, prayer hands. Excellent. Inhaling, sweep out to your arm position for bellows breath again. Make adjustments for your body's well-being and continue. So this is a good time for you to check and see, does your abdomen come in on the exhale? That's what we want, but people sometimes are feeling it go the opposite way.
Like push, pull, push, pull.
So you could always put your hands on your belly as a reference point and think inhale, belly goes into the hands, exhale goes away from hands towards spine. A few more. And then long inhale, sweeping up, back bend if you want. Exhaling, fold. Give that head a little yes shake, a little no shake. Again, hips a little side to side. If it would feel good to you today, intertwining the hands behind for a brief yoga mudra. Sometimes adding a strap is needed. And then releasing, inhaling, sit to your chair. Think about that heavy tailbone. If you'd like a little balance challenge, come on the balls of the feet. And shoulders are sliding down, neck is soft. Leave a wobble head as I think of it. Inhaling, root and rise, push the ceiling away, big glute squeeze. And exhaling, prayer hands. Bring those feet in underneath you in your mountain. And we're going to do a little standing release wind pose. I couldn't think of the name for a moment. So you're just going to stand and bring your right knee into your belly. I say just, but it's a balancing pose. So if you want to move close to a wall or a windowsill or something, feel free. And then we'll switch. And we're going to be going back and forth a number of times. So find a way of doing this that makes sense in your world today. If you cannot get a hold of your knee, it's just too low, putting a strap around the kneecap can help and feel good. And if this just doesn't feel good in your body at all, do the laying down version, right? Release wind pose, where we bring each knee as tight to our belly as we can. This is also, of course, a stretch for those hip flexors, especially the ones standing. So as we go back and forth a few more times, see if you can use your standing leg to really push away. Get the power from there versus from your arms, trying to pull that knee in. Push away with your standing leg and lift up through the heart. Let's just do a few more. So let's pair it with breath. I haven't been a very good teacher talking through that because I was talking about other stuff. So when you're ready, it's a nice inhale. Exhale, bring that knee in and rise. Good. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do one more each side. Big belly breath, big Buddha belly. Marvelous. Inhaling, root and rise. Always have the option of that back bend if you want it. Exhaling and fold. Full breath here. Inhaling, we'll extend halfway up, hands on shin bones. Exhaling, we'll step back, right leg only. We're going to be doing a little pulsing here. Before we begin, you want to make sure your front heel is below your knee. So if you got to hike it forward or whatever. I'm going to inhale and dip my right knee. I'm not actually leaning on it. I'm just dipping it and I'm looking forward. On my exhale, I'm going to try and straighten that front leg a little and fold over it. And I'm going to go back and forth like that. If this feels like the floor is just too far away, completely using two blocks can be nice. or if you prefer, you could even have your hand on your leg. Just don't put pressure on your knee joint when you're in that straightening position. And there are more blocks if anybody wants a second one. What is it like to press your hips up and back and try to fold your head over that straightening leg at the front? One more. Inhaling, if you can, drop your knee completely and relax that back foot. If this doesn't work for you, I'm going to give you an alternate, which is just to be straight up in a lunge. Either way, we're going to cross our right elbow to our left thigh, like so. And I often will just stay in a twist this way. In other words, not trying to put the other hand there, etc. I find I can actually do better breathing and twisting if I don't try to go too far. So make sure you can get that big inhale, exhale, belly to spine, and rotate. Now notice when you're rotating, if you're wagging, I'm seeing a lot of heads way by the left edge of the mat. And really what you want to do is inhale, be long in the spine, and then just rotate right around that pivot point. Yeah, you got it. Release, come up onto the back foot so you can step back, downward facing dog. And we're just gonna pedal and hang. If you need child's pose instead, that's a beautiful alternate to some of our doing. You might come up on balls of both feet and then work both heels towards the floor. Notice what's needed. Then I'm going to come down to my knees and we're going to do a little knee down upward dog. So I'm just going to let the hips settle forward and down, nice powerful arms. Exhaling, press back child's pose, although I keep my knees in a more narrow position during this pulsing. I don't try to take them wide like I do when I'm holding child's pose. Back and forth a few times. Oh, I love that stretch through the upper back. And press those hips back. Marvelous. And now we're going to take our right foot forward and make sure it's really below that front knee. I'm going to come onto the ball of my back foot and begin the same pulsing. So you can exhale as you raise your hips, kind of fold your torso over that right thigh, letting the head hang. As you inhale, you can let that knee dip and look forward. And there's, again, an opportunity for a stretch through that whole front line that gets so tight when we're sitting. And you're moving at your pace, breath inspiring you. You know, maybe you find a position that just feels so good, you want to hold for a couple of breaths. That's cool. You don't have to pulse. You don't have to do anything. Isn't that cool? You just had to get here. Good job. All right, one more. Empty, empty. Then either staying up in the lunge if you can't tolerate being on your knee. Otherwise, drop your left knee, relax the foot. Big inhale, exhale, rotate to place left elbow on right thigh. Again, think long. Think about your tailbone, get long through to the crown of the head. And then each exhale, ring the rag and rotate more deeply. Maybe you can even look up at the ceiling. Again, don't force it. There's nowhere to get to. I was enjoying nature sounds, but I realized I better give you guys, music with a little more energy if I was going to need it. When you feel complete, come on out. Downward facing dog. Reduce the swoosh. Try to lift that front foot. 3 deep breaths here. Maybe you're pedaling. Maybe you're just holding. This is a great place to dump any extra tension right off the top of the head. Just again, any hurries and worries. Anything that does not support your future growth. And we're going to come into our first dog series. You could always do a little pumping again or cow cat. Inhaling to your first plank of the day, I recommend knees down. Remember, you're still pushing the floor away. Yeah. So as you begin your chaturanga, it's just bending the elbows. The hips actually don't move. And then at the very end, down they come. Inhaling cobra. drawing that heart forward. Exhaling, downward facing dog or child's pose. Those of you in downward facing dog, you could just hold, or if you'd like a little heat up, inviting you to hop. So I'm gonna kick my butt, and kick my butt. Nice work. And then we're coming all the way to the floor, everybody, onto your belly. Roll out those wrists. Gosh, they've done good work for you. Taking on neck tension, notice, roll it side to side. You can even, one of my favorite self-massage things to do is to take my hand to the back of my neck, just one hand, and I squeeze all of that tissue right along the spine. Yeah, there's a reason our pets love being rubbed and pull at their neck flesh and their ears, right? Gently, lovingly. All right, let's come into our jet airplane. It's gonna be nice and slow movements with breath. First, anchor the pelvic triangle, then circle the shoulder heads far away from the earth and down the back. Inhaling, extend the spine and the arms off the floor to reach behind. Is there more? Exhale and return. We're just gonna continue like that for many rounds. Anchor pelvis, inhale, extend, and exhale, descend. Subtle detail, but important. If you're feeling a lot of back discomfort or pressure, don't go high. And you may think, well, I wasn't going high. Okay, well, go less high. Maybe you don't even lift the head off the floor and see if you can still get a lot of really good work. Looking good. Nice, and you guys have your chin tucked, which is lovely. Yeah, imagine that there's a little love poem under your nose that you're reading. So see if there's even a little, oh, that was nice. Yeah, that extra bit of lengthening. It's amazing that we have all these spaces in our body that we forget about or we've contracted and now we can reclaim. It's so freaking good. The next time you're extending, if you would like, invitation to reach one arm forward while you counter reach back. And then switch. And you can do this in a very active way or very liquid. And if you're somebody who experiences a lot of neck and trapezius tension, I would recommend practice being more liquid in your life. I'm working on that myself. Release, invitation to settle on the belly, or if your back feels at all ignited, perhaps child's pose, or remember you can just rock the hips. One hip bone and then the other moving. Wherever you are, tuning into breath, which is the ultimate energizer and space creator. This subtle thing that we do all day, every day, is our most powerful and efficient tool for transforming our body and our being. The ultimate declutterer. Come into forearm plank, and I'm hopeful that we'll just be more relaxed in forearm plank than we've ever done before. Just never know, right? So to help with that, create space in your mouth, just that light connection of the tip of the tongue, and then space between the molars at the back, maybe a soft smile, soft eyebrows, shoulder heads anchor, chin tucks a little, and as you're ready, just tuck that tailbone and raise the hips off the floor. I always do knees down first because then I can scan and notice, did I do anything funky? Did I squish my tongue? Did I drop my head? If it feels appropriate, you can certainly come onto feet, squeezing the thighs towards each other, activating towards the ceiling, and breathing. Noticing, breathing. Yes, if our heels come apart even a little bit, we're not using our inner leg quite the way we need to and can, and it'll make us feel weak when we're not. Come on out, enjoy, I hope, a little heat. Yeah, talk about energy building. So we're gonna do another flight, but this time with what I'm calling pelican arms. After watching all the pelicans flying in Mexico, I've decided that's definitely what this wing position is. And so we've got our arms out. We still want shoulder heads activated down. And I would love to do a little rhythm here without actually lifting our body at all to start with. So your forehead's resting on the floor. Your arms are straight out, shoulder heads down, pelvis anchors. And then as you're ready, lift the hands off the floor, just feeling what's happening in your upper back and across the shoulder joints. And of course, through the neck. You know, sometimes we have necks that want to tighten even when we're not even using those muscles. So it can take a conversation with them. Like, hey, don't need you. So we're holding. You're probably feeling some heat in those muscles yet? Yeah? No? Yes, okay. Got it. See if you've got another 3 breaths there without it being an ouch. We're not interested in entrenching tension or creating pain. Just that heat, that enlivenment. And then slowly relax. Maybe you want to bring them back alongside your body or up under your head, whatever feels good. So when I do that, I feel some real warmth and activity in like the deltoid, that upper part of the knee, part of the shoulder. I also feel it across into the shoulder blades, the surface of the blade. And that's exciting to me because these muscles are a big part of what allows us to do what we do with our arms in front of our body, etc. But we're often kind of weak through them, and so we take on a lot of funky tension in the upper back. Let's do that one more time, and if it feels appropriate in your body, you could certainly extend the spine. You could also just simply come in and out versus holding in that extension the way we did. As you're ready, reaching those hands off the floor and finding your version with body or no. Think about reaching from the heart out through the middle finger. Tuning into the breath. You know, our normal breaths throughout the day, we maybe exhale 60% of our exhale, which means we're also only breathing in that much fresh inhale. And yoga can be so profoundly different. When you feel complete and release, find a comfortable position. We are going to be coming into one more forearm plank. You know, forearm plank, in order for it to be useful, you don't have to do single prolonged holds. I mean, that hold was actually quite long that we did. And I know there's this kind of thing out there in society now of doing like timing yourself and getting progressively longer. You guys maybe heard about the one who did 4.5 hours in forearm plank. It's a bad idea, in my opinion. I actually, when this first all started, I heard people totally trying to do like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and getting like back spasms that then they had to go to the chiropractor for like 3 weeks to unwind. I'm like, what is the point, people? Our body is not designed to hold a frozen position for a long time. So let's come back in and find your version, knees down around the feet. And some fun little add-ons. Some of them are very simple, and one is that you can do just the littlest of shimmies, taking your chest just a little side to side, and you'll feel some very different activization in some of the muscles through your chest, rib cage, core. You could also be lifting one foot off the floor if you're on your feet. And if you're doing that, again, it's a small movement, And I'm wanting to notice and not have anything else really in my body react. There's no hip drop or anything significant. We're gonna release to come into our quadricep stretch and bow pose. If you know that doesn't work for you and you wanna do a standing version, use a strap, or obviously feel free to do something else. For the floor version, I like bringing one forearm across the front of the mat, anchoring the pelvis, and then that forearm supports me in kind of doing the little chest lift to reach for my hand without flailing as much. And then I'm gonna settle my forehead on the forearm and breathe. Always bringing the bent knee towards the straight leg so that's not winging out. And bringing breath to the stretch, curiosity. When you feel it's time to switch, please do. Sometimes one side needs more time than the other. I just feel certain deep tension releasing at that very last breath. And a little subtle alignment with these poses is if you can flare your toes back away from the ball of the foot, what I call kind of yoga toes, you're sort of flexing the toes away from the ball versus pointing, it's kind of the opposite. And that can provide some nice just intelligence in the pose, and when you ignite the toes that way, then the whole leg is more involved. Before I go into bow pose, I'm going to release that leg. You can even give them a counter stretch, curling the toes under. And then I get into bow pose the same way as I did the quad stretch. I come into one side, then I bend the other knee, I reach for the other foot, ankle. I bring those knees back in towards the center, flare my yoga toes, and inhaling, press the ankles back into the hands, and exhaling, soften. How much you soften, how far you come out, totally up to you. It's a challenging place to get full breath, and pretty exciting because when you get it into that belly, you've got like a massage going on with gravity in the floor. Release, press back child's pose, take those knees wide. I'm hoping in this pose in particular, you can notice that breath is not just in the front body. Right? It flows like a wave up along the spine and the back of the body, up through the sides body, the ribs. Spend just 3 more breaths witnessing the breath wave. On your next exhale, we're going to come on up into our cat back. So you'll kind of bring those knees in under the hips. Come into cat back, a little cow cat here. Inhaling cow, tailbone draws back and heart draws forward. Letting the head hang, you might give it a little wiggle here and there. The next time you're in cat back, we're going to hold and send the ribs all the way to the left and look out over the right shoulder. All the way to the right and look out over the left shoulder. So then please find your nice stable table. How do I know I'm in core support? I can clap. And I'm going to take that right foot out, sole of the foot connecting with the floor if you can. This is important because if I don't anchor the sole of the foot or flex the foot, one or the other, this knee is just kind of flopping there with gravity. I really want it to have muscular support because I'm going to stretch and I want to bring those hips back and forward. Some of you, it might feel great to send the hips all the way back and release these toes towards the ceiling. So the foot is flexed. And again, just folding. I can get into some really nice hamstring stretching when I kind of fold forward like I want to kiss the earth. And I say nice hamstring stretching because I am very tight in the hamstrings. And just going into your classic like folding sometimes is not very satisfying. Doing one at a time like this, I feel like I'm kind of getting into it more and I'm not, the weight isn't on it. I'm gonna bring my leg that I was on, I'm gonna bring that foot in like so. You got it? I'm gonna bring the right leg, one that was out, around in front, and I'm gonna hold the foot and the leg with my arm. We call this good foot. And you're, again, if you flex the foot, it stabilizes the knee. If you don't like this knee being bent, you can have it out. But we're holding it. And again, if this bugs your neck, don't do it. But we're just creating some nice hip lubrication here. You know, not everything has to be intense to be useful. And subtle can be powerful. All right. And then we're going to return onto our table pose and take that left foot out to the side, sole the foot anchored, and begin our pulsing. So a reminder, you know, I don't even pretty much have to be on my hands. If you're feeling wrist pressure, it may be also that you're not using your core as much as you could. And anytime you're inspired to do little organic movements of the head, you can look out again over the right shoulder, left shoulder. It can be quite lovely. At some point, if you like, release the butt back and release the toes to flex towards the ceiling. And exploring that back leg. I think one of the greater challenges with gardening and yard cleanup and all that is trying to figure out what is your preferred position, right? How do you get down there in a way that works your body well and doesn't make you hurt later? And it can be tough to figure out, but hip flexibility and leg definitely are some of the helpful agents. So I'm gonna then rock out onto my right hip so I can bring that left leg around in front of me. Make any amendments you need for this to work for you. And flexing the left foot stabilizes the ankle and the knee. It's kind of fun to just see what's that range of motion like. Yeah. And from there, we're going to come onto our feet, a little rag doll. Once again, taking the hips side to side. Deep breath massaging from the inside. On your inhale, sitting to chair, let that tailbone be heavy. Nice breath wave rising and settling. Inhaling, root and rise, big glute squeeze. Exhaling, prayer hands. Big inhale. Exhaling, bring that right knee up into your belly. Inhaling, release and sweep your arms to the sky. Exhale, bring that left leg into the belly. Do that one more time. Is there more? One more inhale. And exhaling, we're going to step that right leg back, crescent lunge. I'm going to invite you in your twist that we did, right? Some of you did it on knee down, some of you already did it in the lunge, whatever works best for you. But make sure you're steering left hip bone back, right hip bone forward. You can even reach forward with that right arm, then cross that elbow to the left thigh. Notice if your head has come left of your foot. Look down and see where your foot is in relationship to your head, and that might help steer you back to center. Good. Big inhale. And by the way, if this is too much of a twist, just use your hand on your thigh. One more. Inhaling back to center, exhaling, step back, downward facing dog. One full breath, maybe a sigh. Inhaling to your plank, knees or feet. Shoulders are down, jaws soft, exhaling chaturanga. Cobra or upward facing dog. And downward facing dog. Slowly walk the hands back to the feet, rag dog. Nice full breath here, enjoy moving hips, head. Inhaling, sink to chair. Inhaling, root and rise. Exhaling, prayer hands. I invite you to just scan the body, tune into your breath. Notice hopefully a little heart rate. We're going to step sideways on our mat in our 5-point star or straddle. Well, let's face the east. Why not? It's lovely over there. And don't worry, we'll do the other side, but we're going to do a little side-to-side stuff first. If you pause here with me a moment, a 5-pointed star, think about both feet being anchored, palms flexing out, or if that's not comfortable, then just face the palms forward, but in alignment with the arms and kind of more peaceful, right? So if you like the palm flexion, you're just going to go back and forth. So I'm going to point my fingertips down and then flex them up. And this is just a nice flossing for that wrist and elbow area that can get so intense in some of our gardening endeavors. But this position in general is great for the mood. So I think about us coming out of winter, and I know for some people, this was not that bad of a winter, but it still was a challenge for people to struggle with not all the daylight hours and so on. So here we're returning, I think, to a sense of hope and brightness. All right, roll those wrists out, lower those arms, and then please begin going side to side through the hips. If your knee is going past your ankle, please widen your stance. Would it feel good to you to go low? For some people, that is just such a great feeling. Others, and you'll keep hands on thighs. Let's hold to one side. This might again provide that alternate chance to drop the hips and turn the toes towards the ceiling if you'd like that. Big breath. Switching. And I've found in these poses, when you're at the side, if you reach your hands a little away from you, you can sometimes ignite some pretty interesting additional stretches. Nice. And we're gonna slowly rotate towards the front of the mat and step to our fold. Nice ragdoll. Full breath here. On your inhale, sit to chair, tailbone heavy, robot belly strong. Full breath. Remember, you can always add that balance challenge of the lifted heels. And then inhaling, rise. Big glute squeeze, exhaling prayer hands. Nice. Inhaling, sweeping up, we'll lift that left knee. And on our exhale, we'll step back to your crescent lunge. Take all the time, enjoy the balance challenge of it. Got it. Steer right hip bone back, left hip bone forward. Inhale, reach forward through that left arm and then cross. Spinal twist. If it feels like too much to be on the elbow, again, you can go to the hand. If you've got it at the elbow and you're like, I want to create more, you can bring your right hand up against your left palm and you've got prayer hands. Either way, shoulder heads are anchoring. Again, you're checking your head position. Yeah, check that back heel as well. I see some heels, back heels kicking out to the left, and you really want that inner thigh action happening. Keep the legs stable. Looking good. Exhaling when it comes. Woo, give yourself a break. Yeah, release the hands, step back downward dog. What would your body like right here? Holding, resting, flowing. One more round of jog series if you would like it. You could also play with hopping if you like that little bit of heat up without the flow itself. Inhaling plank. Exhaling chaturanga. Good. Inhaling either cobra or upward facing dog. And then please settle whether it's child's pose, ragdoll, or if you're wanting to stay active, downward facing dog. For some people, can be a powerful resting position. I ask you to once again tune in and ask, how's it feel to be me? I think one of the most powerful things we do when we're on the yoga mat is develop that witness and that sense of self-knowing, so that when I ask a question like, how does it feel to be me, I am able to answer honestly to myself or notice my own habits, my own ways of rearranging reality, or not wanting to just say it like it is, even to myself. Isn't that crazy? We're going to come into a little shoulder love, and I call it shoulder love, but not everybody loves this pose. So you may have other shoulder love you would prefer. It's the reversed table crab pose. And it can be wonderful because it really does some good ignition and release up through bicep, tricep, and so on. But not everybody's shoulders will love it. And I'm thinking yours might be one of those. So you might want to do an alternate that you know you love, and maybe it's just some more puppy stretch or what have you. But it's a very brief pose. We don't hold it for long. We're going to be on our butt, and we're taking our fingertips towards the butt, palms on the floor if you can, otherwise it's fists. Shoulder heads anchor, and kind of drop your chin a little in towards the chest so that it's not tightening. I don't want these to tighten up when you have your head back. That's what will happen. So I really want a nice chin tuck. Big inhale. Make sure those shoulder heads are down. Exhale, raise the hips and push the floor away until your arms are straight. Inhaling, descend. Make sense? Are you feeling? Yeah, good. Exhaling and push the floor away. Let's do it 2 more times. And then we're going to place the block or an alternate object under the bra strap. Most of you know by now that I highly recommend not just having a block and then your head all the way to the floor, because for most of us that is too much. So if you don't already have a blanket or a sweater or something next to you, see who I could seduce into having something else. And sometimes the block is perfect if you've got something for under the head, and other times the block itself is just too hard and too, the wrong dimension or whatever it is. You should not feel any pull down your low back. You should not feel that you're building tension. I always have to say in this pose, we're seeking the eye. Yeah, so what does it feel like to roll your head gently side to side? If you feel it getting kind of bunched up, it's possible you might need a little something under your head. Anybody? I've got some blankets here. And of course, we can add the shoulder movement or the shoulder exploration by taking one arm at a time. I'm going to take my right arm straight up to the sky, palm facing the center line. So my thumb is facing down towards the floor as I reach for the wall behind me. And that's the key, is I'm not trying to touch the floor. I'm not bending my elbow. I'm reaching for the wall. And then I'm pulsing my arm away from the ear and in towards the ear. Just a big, slow movement. And this is wonderful because it's creating fluidity along the shoulder blade. and all those connections that really impact the trapezius. So we tend to think of the trapezius as just this thing up at the top of the shoulder, but it actually attaches there at the wingtip of the shoulder blade. Yeah, would it feel good to even roll your head away from the arm? That might feel delicious. Of course, when you're ready, exploring the other side. We're making our way towards our yogic sleep, our shavasana, our resting time. Shavasana technically is corpse pose, but you could be in any shape, right? Maybe you want legs up the wall, or if you're at home on an ottoman or a sofa. Would anyone here like the bolster to be able to recline onto? Anyone who hasn't tried it and wants to try it? Can also be lovely for under your knees. All right, please take all the time you need to creating that position of comfort. It might be child's pose, right? So there's no shape that you can't choose. As you're settling, please give me a holler if you notice, gosh, if I only had a something or other, I would be able to really relax into this. And I'd love to come around and offer a shoulder press for anybody who would like it. If you would prefer me to skip you today, please just give me a little wave in the hair. Great. All right. Sorry, music volume in the opposite direction as intended. So as you're settling, we're going to do a little scan of the body and first invite a sense of release. So if, again, taking your head side to side provides release. Sometimes taking the chin up and back and then returning it towards the throat can provide a marvelous letting go. And then scanning and inviting a softness in the forehead, the tongue, the jaw. Invite that heaviness and settling to move throughout your limbs and torso until even the breath has settled into this very soft and subtle thing, like a baby sleeping. It's as if gravity has just gotten more powerful and is guiding you to sink more deeply down and down and down.
expand, breath. Awareness of your body from the mouth. On another deep breath, allow your imagination to travel. There's a whole world, of course, outside of our doors here. There's your day that you have ahead of you, kind of flow of life that holds things that we can't possibly anticipate. We have our ideas of what we want and what we think is going to happen. So the bigger question is, with what energy do I want to greet the flow of life, the things that I encounter in myself and others and logistics, etc. You might decide to close your practice with a nice brisk rub of the hands, igniting your own healing energies, and then turning those in towards your face, heart, belly. You might literally place your hands on them or just off the surface. Affirming wholeness, affirming goodness, affirming peace, shanti. Thank you so much for coming to the mat with me today. I hope it felt great. I hope it supports you in everything you do and are in the coming week. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Hope you have some wonderful moments to notice the evolving spring.